Hello, hello, hello. Make sure you unmute yourself, V. Welcome to the faith community. We are excited that you joined us today. Today is our real talk. And so this month's theme at the faith community is about the greatest commandment theology. This is the foundation of our community, our church. And so today, our special guest, along with me, is my brother, V. Ivey. How about that? Welcome, V.
Thank y'all. I am excited to be a newbie and to be with you. So I'm here for it.
All right.
And I'm drinking tea for so.
I didn't hear you. What you say?
I said I'm drinking tea for the tea. So.
Okay.
For this conversation. So I'm here for it tonight.
Well, very good. We're glad that you decided to join us. We're actually excited to have you a part of our community. This is going to be an excellent conversation because the difference, hey Ariana, the difference in our connection with TFC is by a few years. I joined TFC a little over 4 years ago, which it wasn't TFC at the time, but it has turned into TFC, the faith community that we know it to be now. And with that being said, you are a newbie coming in recently, like this year, actually, coming into TFC. And so because our foundation is the greatest commandment theology, this is going to be a pretty cool conversation to really understand, what do you think about it? I can share what I've thought about it, and we can definitely chime in and, compare notes, if you will, to see, what brought you and what brought me and why we both still here. Okay. So I definitely want to encourage everybody to share, invite other people to come on in, join the conversation. Feel free to interact with us in the chat. As we say at TFC, it goes down in the chat. So feel free to interact with us, okay? Now, for those who are unfamiliar with the greatest commandment theology, I want to just read a little bit, okay? Now, in our group, again, our foundation is the greatest commandment theology, and it's based on the words in Matthew 22:37 through 40. And that is where we extend, where Jesus replied, "You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. And this is the first and greatest commandment. The second, equally important, which is love your neighbor as yourself. The entire law on all the demands of the prophets are based on these two commands." So again, that's Matthew 22:37 through 40. And so for me, the concept of this being the foundation of how we should operate, how we should live, how we should connect with people, and first and foremost ourselves, and then with other people, was a new concept to me. So, what about you, V? Was this a new concept for you when you first heard it?
Yes, definitely a new concept, but I have definitely enjoyed adopting the theology. I feel like it challenges our humanness because we're imperfect. So unconditional anything, whether that's love for self or others, because our view is distorted because we're imperfect, I think that's challenging. So I'm always up for a challenge, but I do like the foundation.
That's such a good point, that it is a challenge. And so when I hear you say challenge, I hear grace. I hear mercy. And so to me, it forces you to first demonstrate that towards yourself, which may be odd at first. Like, it was odd for me at first. Was that odd for you to do for yourself at first?
That's true, especially in the sense of forgiving. Sometimes I'm hard on myself, so I'll replay things. How could I have done or said something differently? So just extending that grace to myself, or okay, I did this project. Everyone's saying I did a phenomenal job, but I see where I could have done better. Extending that grace to myself as well in situations like that.
That's good. That's really good. And since we grew up in the same household, I can understand where you got that from. So that whole hardness on ourselves and you're trying to be perfect, but there's no such thing as perfection, which is not a bad thing because it definitely made, I know for me, an overachiever in some ways, which turned out really well for me in some things. And then I've also learned to let some of that go because I'm not perfect and I've accepted that I am not perfect. And you hear me every morning, I get up and say, thank you, Lord, for a new set of grace and mercy. Okay. Because I jacked up some stuff before. And every day I mess up. And have you gotten to the point when it comes to this grace that is the foundation of TFC? Have you gotten to the point where you can laugh at yourself or just be like, you know what? Hey, that's just who I am. And it's all right.
Yeah, I found myself in situations where I'm like, hey, did what I could. Just drop, it's what it is, so
how does that help you? Like, do you feel lighter or do you feel more accepting of yourself?
It's interesting you use the word lighter. It has absolutely alleviated of a burden, a self-imposed burden. So I feel a lot lighter. And then in a sense, my perception and perspective of others has lightened as well. Really, really genuinely putting myself into someone else's shoes, someone that may have a different, let's say, upbringing outside of what I'm used to. I'm pretty open, but certain things I can see where I have applied my own personal set of rules to others. So that's alleviating me doing that.
That's so good. I have had to do that as well. When I started looking at what was my imperfections, I was like, well, shoot, I've been really hard on a lot of people. I don't really, did a lot of judging on a lot of people, and not being open to understanding other people back in the day. I can say for me, and you may not even know this, V, but I remember when you shared with me, like I mentioned, the he, his, those are your pronouns. I remember when you shared that with me, and that was the beginning of me being more open because I know I loved you with all my heart. And so I was like, well, I don't know. I don't understand this at the moment, but I still love you. And I remember sharing that with you. And so that was always the way, that was the opening for me to start looking at things differently. Because I was like, well, I don't know enough to not, to have an opinion, but I'm open to learning more, for example. And so I agree with you when it comes to giving that same grace to everybody in every situation. And it does start with yourself. So when you hear that the Greatest Commandment Theology, and like you said, is new to you, what connects most for you in those scriptures? What drew you to say, you know what, this is something I really should look into and adopt?
To me, I actually go to the life of Jesus. So in turn, I personally feel like he's the greatest martyr, best example of someone going down for literally suffering on a cross for a religion, and looking at his life, your closest ride or die betrayed you. I mean, literally, you live in a time where you were seen as a threat to a Roman Empire because of your teachings. They didn't want you to cause social unrest. And you were tried and then, sold out and illegally arrested, So I just think of the strength and how Jesus even went into some temples that were his father's, God's, and flipped tables, invited the poor in and talk, fed thousands, To me, he even broke socioeconomic and gender boundaries by some of the things that we've covered since I've been here. The woman at the well with the issue of blood, allowing and breaking the rule to touch a leopard, which was illegal at the time, to heal them. So my thing is, you have someone that is okay with adopting in the sense and accepting murderers, and I mean just people that were viewed as less than, and still being open to welcoming them. So to me, for someone to extend that much openness and acceptance, just by providing unconditional love, why would I not want to adopt that? It even made me think about the what would Jesus do bracelets that we used to wear back in the day. I don't know if they're still around. That's still a thing.
You dating us, honey. You dating.
Like, are the WWJDs still a thing? But it makes me think of the Greatest Commandment Theology that same way. Okay, so with the WWJD bracelets, it was a reminder of what would Jesus do. So my thing is, the Greatest Commandment does the same thing. We just don't have the presence of the bracelet. We have the conscious presence. Okay, how can I extend love to others? So I think it serves the same purpose, but more powerful. No offense to the creators of the WWJD bracelet, but I feel like it adopts a more powerful theology, but serves the same purpose as the presence of that WWJD bracelet back in the day.
Listen, out there in TFC land, we need a bracelet, honey. We need a bracelet. Okay, we're bringing them back in style.
I don't even know if they sell anymore.
You know, people still wear those bracelets, so we can get a dope one.
Oh, I haven't seen them.
Okay, now let's see. Like the TFC, we welcome all who share common focus on loving the uniqueness of all people. The way God shows, you know, like we just talked about, God shows love to all of us daily. No matter, he embraces our uniqueness. He embraces all of us, which includes our imperfections and things. And oftentimes, you know, we've heard similar statements from churches, but we may not have actually experienced that. You know, we welcome everybody, but that is not what people have experienced when they walk in the door. Have you had any experiences like that where it was mouth service versus actual action that matched what was being said?
I could say yes in all environments that I've been in. So grew up Baptist, and I feel like the presence of, well, actually, no, I don't even want to give that credit. So no offense, but I don't even think the presence of accepting all was there. I feel like the environment was a stereotypical Southern Baptist oppressive environment. So it's almost like blacks carrying on the oppressive traditions of their owners to a degree, but it's carried out by a person that is the same cultural or ethnic background, but they're still carrying out the patriarchal practices, which to me are oppressive. But I can also say, as an adult, I visited a non-denominational church, which I welcomed all. I felt pretty okay there, but unfortunately, the church dismantled and disappeared because of some issues with the pastor. And then I moved on more so in the recent years to visiting more so LGBTIAQ based churches, where I felt a commonality with those groups based on the sexuality and gender identity acceptance in those environments, and also felt linked to those, I guess we could say, humans by the same cultural background as well. But in the non-inclusive environments, it was culturally a commonality, but no acceptance as far as certain members of the church. So to me, the experience has kind of been what, because in the inclusive environments, I felt like there was still a similar representation that I found in the non-inclusive environment. So non-inclusive environment, I show up to the church with a tie. The usher's looking at me like, I don't even know why you came to our church, for example.
Wow.
You joined, in my personal experiences, you go to an inclusive environment and it's still great. All are welcome, but you have an overwhelming amount of LGBTIQ. So I consider myself a non-traditional, stereotypical LGBTIQ because I personally have sought until I found the faith community, a community where I personally felt like what the kingdom of God looks like. So I don't care if you're black, white, purple, gay, straight, whatever. So I personally don't like being a part of communities where I feel like it's just categorized. If that makes sense. So I like the fact that it's interdenominational. There are no boxes with your socioeconomic status, your gender, anything like that. So it fits what I view the kingdom should look like. So to answer the question, I could say, no, I haven't found an environment until now that I felt completely comfortable in. But there were parts in the other environments, but I just didn't agree with certain things that I saw or the doctrine.
Gotcha. That's really good. And we're glad that you're here. I can say I felt, grew up in the Baptist, and I can't say that I felt like a whole person from a different perspective until I got to TFC as well. There were parts of me that were celebrated and almost abused because that was what they wanted me to focus on. But I can't say that in the environments in the past, anyone knew all of me. They knew whatever my talents were, lots of rules on what you shouldn't do, but nobody really got a chance to know or even delve into even wanting to know anything else other than what I could offer. And so it was more so, serve. What are your talents? We're going to put you here. We're going to put you there. It wasn't like that was it. You just do what you can. If you didn't know it, they'll teach you how to do it kind of thing. And then you get, pigeonholed into one area. And then that's just you're expected to stay there. You're not even encouraged to, explore anything else. So I definitely appreciate what you've shared so far about, your experiences, and it feels good. I'm sure to be seen as a whole person at this point. Say TFC has allowed me to, I'm freaking talented. I got a lot of stuff going on, and I just do all of it and not have to be cornered into one area. And here at TFC, I love that they celebrate not only your uniqueness, but they celebrate. We're sort of an intellectual church, like we delve in and talk and actually have conversations, which I think is the dopest thing, because you then open up yourself even further to understand other people's perspectives and understand people's experiences, which further allows you to be in a position to love yourself even more too, So I think that's pretty cool. All right, so let's see what we're gonna move into now.
Oh, before you do that, I do want to just say too that I think that people need to, it's my personal opinion, I think that people need to realize that church is not a cult. It is about community. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it definitely is not a cult. And if you choose to explore all of yourself, then that doesn't mean you're going to hell. It does not mean you don't love the Lord. It doesn't mean any of that. And so I love that you made that point.
It's okay to visit another church. It's okay.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
To be on duty every Sunday. How about that?
It's okay to take a break. So that's why I love the fact that Christian pushes rest. It is not a cult. It's about upbuilding the community and supporting others, not exploiting people and tiring them out to the point that they don't want to come to church. So
listen, sis, this sister over here was tired, okay? It got to the point, I said, it's bad when you get to the point where you're feeling overwhelmed and feeling guilty about the fact that you don't want to go that Sunday, because maybe you've been there every Sunday and you just want to just do nothing. How about that? I used to feel guilty about even considering not doing something that I felt the obligation to do it. And so I felt I was wrong for even considering not wanting to do something when half the time I didn't want to do it. So, you know, I could say, for example, singing for me. I know you remember me growing up, everybody wanted me to sing, right?
I remember.
Do you know how many times I wanted to sing? Halftime, no. I just wanted to be left alone and enjoy the program like everybody else. Okay, so let's go ahead.
I was gonna say, and I feel like that pushes or deters people from using their gifts and talents when God gave them to us. So
yes, I love to sing, but I just felt obligated to sing, and there's a difference, you know. So we believe here at TFC, they come together to have a dialogue about how to apply the fundamentals of the Greatest Commandment Theology is key to the development and deepening of our faith. And so we meet like every week, you know, via connection groups or Bible and Beyond, or even the worship service, you know, to be an extension of how we show our example we have in Christ Jesus. So what connection groups do you enjoy participating in, and why? Now, I'm not sure if you know all about them, but we have a group called Let's Talk About Sex, Holy Smokes, Therapy and Theology, Bible and Beyond, and then our worship service. So have any of those connected with you? And if so, why?
Okay, so I'm mad that, first of all, I just like to address the fact that I'm upset that I did not know about therapy and theology, because I would have sat in on that. So
I think I just made one up, but it's coming. I know that's Pam.
So. Joining that soon. I have attended the worship service. Okay. Holy Smokes, Let's Talk About Sex, and Bible and Beyond. So let's talk about sex. Let me tell you about Minister T.
Go ahead, talk about T. All the things.
Yeah, Madam of all things, aka. Yes. So I love the fact that she is so bold. Topics that other ministries would consider off topic or taboo, she is diving right into it. So I do love that about Let's Talk About Sex. As far as Holy Smokes, I love the fluidity of how the group's set up. So, you know, people can have their favorite cigar, their favorite dram beverage. You know, you don't have to be a smoker or a drinker to join the group. But I feel like that group, if I had to state it, would be more of people that may have been more so just not interested in wanting to join church, you know, or be in that kind of environment. So I feel like it provides them with a safe, comfortable space where they are welcome. So to me, I love Holy Smokes because I feel like that is a true representation of the church is not the building, but it's the people. That's what Holy Smokes makes me think of.
Yes, because yes.
You know where I'm going. 2 or 3 are gathered.
Come on, 2 or 3 are gathered.
Right. So my thing is, what is it? For where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am with them. So yes. My thing is, that's what Holy Smokes is to me. Before pre-COVID, they were meeting in a cigar bar. So that's why I feel like that is a beautiful representation of the church. It's the people, not the building. Also, with Bible and Beyond, that is right up my alley because I'm a nerd to my heart. So I literally feel like
I am a nerd.
I feel like I'm in a seminary course, sitting in Bible and Beyond. I like the wealth of knowledge, the richness, the depth of learning. I love just it. Okay, so if I had to sum up Bible and Beyond, no offense to the Android users, I'm not being petty, But
We
for
love
the
all people, okay?
love all users. We are a inclusive church, so Androids, y'all are welcome. So
Yes, come in.
with the iPhone, if you search my phone, there is an emoticon with the head kind of blown up. That's literally how I feel about Bible and Beyond. Every class, I'm on my side, like learning so much. Even the Jezebel, I did my own research, and lo and behold, boom, we had a Jezebel class from somebody from Mercer. So it's just the wealth of knowledge. So no
Yeah.
offense, or any.
We don't mean no harm.
Blown.
We don't mean no harm. That's good. So, he said you about to get set down. That is hilarious. So you like all of them? Sound like you have a favorite? If you had to order them, is that fair to even ask that you would prioritize your favorites?
I like them all, but I would say if I had to, I can't label them in order, but I will say at the top for sure, because the other two are kind of, I would say, even. Bible and Beyond just takes it a little bit further for me because I really am big on learning. I mean, I learn in all environments, but I'm like a book smart kind of historical kind of person. So it hits all my little nerdy flags. So I love it.
That's really cool. I didn't realize you were that much of a nerd. I am as well. I think that's why I like it as well. I like intellectual conversations. I like anything that makes me think beyond what I may have been presented with versus TFC allows me to actually use my brain. How about that? So it's like it's welcoming to allow you to actually activate your brain, use it, and then share your thoughts, about different things. And there isn't a pressure to to align with something that you may not agree with. Here, you can just share your experience, and that doesn't mean the goal is to agree. The goal is to share so we all can learn from it, and then you still have your very intellectual mind to figure out what works for you. You know what I mean? So I love that. All right, let's see. I got so many things. All right. Okay, now let's see. Now, another thing that we talk about with the Greatest Commandment Theology, as we've mentioned, that's Matthew 22, 37 through 40. We seek to reorient our basic question from what does the Bible have to say about this to replace that question with how does the Greatest Commandment apply here? Now, with this, I want to also share that within that, we want to talk about our 5 keys as TFC, and that is the Greatest Commandment Theology, which is the theme for this month. But we also stand upon the keys of anti-racism, women's equity, LGBTQ plus affirmation, and Bible criticism. So, of course, all of these help us deliver our overarching message of disruptive, authentic, and inclusivity. So within those 5 keys, which ones resonate most for you so far? Because you're pretty new. And we embraced you tight. We holding you with a hard hug, So which ones do speak to you?
Okay, so Bible criticism. Well, I'm just going to break it down this way. Bible criticism. So 2 ways I view it. On a heavier note, Bible criticism, I like the fact that I feel like it serves as an imperative and necessary vehicle for exposing and dismantling ignorant and oppressive, let's say, doctrine in some cases that use the Bible as a weapon to shame others.
Gotcha.
If I had to exploit or shame or shun others that those ministries or doctrine or teachers may view as unequal or less than, such as people who do not match their socioeconomic class or their race or their gender. On a lighter note with Bible criticism, I believe that I like that it's a safe space. So questions are welcome. They're encouraged. So I do like that safe space is present, because I feel like it allows the opportunity for people to ask questions to help them identify things that they may not understand. They may misunderstand certain text or the context of the text. And I think that provides them with the ability not to feel shame associated with them asking questions. Now I'm going to combine the women's equity, the LGBTQ, and affirmation and anti-racism. I'm going to wrap that all up into one. All right. Okay. So if we have to identify women's equity, it's barely been over 100 years since women have been able to vote. That's point number one. Voting rights for all races and genders was just approved. It hadn't even been 60 years, 1965. Okay, equity for LGBT or same gender loving individuals to get married. We are just coming up on year 6 in June for having been legally approved. So, and then if I'm piggybacking on the LGBTQ and affirmation groups, within the states, there are still some states that have no protections in place for them in regards to housing, job opportunities. Some people could go in and just get fired on the rip. They are not protected against hate crimes either within the states, even though they have been legally given those rights to marry. So to me, the presence of those groups is necessary. Also, if I had to wrap up all the groups in one, just the mere fact that Black Lives Matter, trans lives matter, and let's say the Me Too movement exists, just the fact that they merely exist lets you know that the keys that the church has, the fact that the church added these as keys, is a necessity. It's ongoing work with those groups. So that's my feeling on that.
That's really good. With that being said, have you, like you mentioned about the like, for example, Bible criticism, and we're open to, talking, people can voice their opinions and they actually can question, the Bible or their understanding of scriptures. Have you had to unlearn anything? And if so, what are the top 3 things you had to unlearn so far?
Let's talk about sex. Was, to me, Minister T did a thing about masturbation. And I was thinking about how just in some of the teen classes in church growing up, it was just like not discussed or told, don't you do that, so it exposed a lot of ignorance and oppression that people probably have passed on from, let's say, no offense to anyone, Big Mama, and then people just hearing things from their grandma or whoever they got it from, kind of like ignorance being folklore within culture, but no one taking the time out to really seek the knowledge for themselves by just opening the Bible and getting the knowledge for themselves. So I can say that was one thing that was unlearned. The other 2, I would say, the Jezebel story. I like the perspective of what we learned about that, because I started researching it because over the last few years, you always hear people call someone a Jezebel, or she has a Jezebel spirit, and people use that all the time, and just other texts that you hear that people misquote, but they don't really know the historical meaning behind things. So even prior to me coming to the Greatest Commandment Theology, just in me doing some research, I like the fact that I've been able to kind of unlearn some things, but it kind of helped kick the door in when I joined this community to know that I was on the right track with a lot of things that we do, even the Baptist finger, people, meaning with that, or the first shall be last, last shall be first. It's not about people, oh, you're wealthy now, the poor will be rich. No. That's about God saying, regardless of when people come into his kingdom, whether you've been with him 20 years or 10, all are given the same gift of eternal life, and their sins have been paid. So it's just things like that. So that's my answer on that.
Yeah, that's really good. I definitely can say I unlearned a lot of stuff. And I found what was interesting for me was it was more so traditions within churches versus it being in the Bible. A lot of the stuff that I unlearned, I was thinking, well, where did that come from? I'm thinking, oh, that's what you told us it was, versus that really being the case. So I think for me, was your unlearning scary, or was it just part of just your evolution in general?
It's just a part of my evolution. With the life that I have had, I have always lived against the grain. All the time. So I can say I'm a very bold person. So nothing, I hate to say that way, but really nothing scares me. So it's just a bold step that I took to ensure that my doctrine is sound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely can. I admire that about you, that you definitely have always been one who lived against the grain. And I can say in the last 4 or 5 years, I say even the last 10 years, I have definitely started on that same path of on my own journey and not really caring to fit in, because that's not the way I was made to do anyway. So I love that TFC embraces everybody's uniqueness. And it's such a beautiful thing. It's not like you have to come in TFC and melt or conform into what they want you to be. I call that more so the melting pot. But I call TFC a good old tossed salad, because all the pieces make it delicious. You know what I mean? So I love that you shared that. As we wrap up, are there any pieces within the Greatest Commandment Theology that you feel like you still want to learn more about when it comes to either loving yourself or loving others or accepting others? Tell me what you're thinking. Political. He's so silly.
That threw me off, because I know if you're out with that voice, people are like, could you explain that to me?
Oh, you're so hungry too, huh?
Well, I would say no, because no, because to me it's just going to be the continuation of not slipping back into oppression.
Mm-hmm.
No shade to anyone, but not slipping back to that. And I love that this ministry doesn't have, to me, what I personally have coined the God complex, lowercase g. Meaning, I've been in ministries where people worship the pastor and not necessarily the God that we are there for, or worship leadership and forget the essence of church and the biblical canon. So, that's my answer. It would just be continuing to ensure that I do not fall back into faulty doctrine, and keep it sound and keep things moving forward.
I love that. I love that. I have enjoyed our time. This time went by fast. We keep looking up at the thing like it's only been 40 minutes. Well, I do want to do something a little different, as I mentioned prior to starting. We have a few announcements, and I would like to welcome the one, the only, the pundit, Grayson. Come on board. Come on and tell us what we got going on this week. Was that good, Grayson?
Come on, Grayson.
It was as good as a tossed salad. That's all I gotta say. With the croutons, and the bacon bits, and the
Yes.
Oof.
The dressing, a homemade dressing. Come on.
Wait, before I say anything, what is y'all's favorite dressing? I feel like we need to know that.
Well, what you got, V? What you got?
Balsamic or Italian?
Yes.
Balsamic is at the top. It's at the top.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm into making dresses myself these days. So, you know, I know, do a little something. So, you know, I have gotten used to like making dressings. I do combinations. I may squeeze some lemon, put some toss in olive oil, and then I like to put herbs to sort of offset it. Or I may get some ground mustard and put some ginger. And, you know, it just depends on how I'm feeling. Well, you know, we both love to cook, so
yes, yes, we do.
Well, I'm gonna be basic and just say when I'm not thinking as much about health stuff, definitely ranch. But usually it's a balsamic or an Italian.
cool.
Just like our dad. That's his name.
Yes,
Ranch.
that's his name.
Ranch. And if y'all want to put, who are watching, if y'all want to put your favorite salad dressing in the comments, there's no reason other than just curiosity. We've got some cats to kill, so put them in the chat.
Salad, you know,
Right.
Exactly.
Oh, what do you want the salad? Are you a tomato? Are you the shredded cheese?
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, I guess I better do what I was summoned for. They said my name 3 times in the mirror, and I appeared. But we got some exciting things going on this week. And first, thank you both, Melanie and V. This was one of the exciting things we had going on this week, but I don't need to announce it. But so thank you both so much. I've loved being in the background for this conversation. So let's see, Saturday, so 2 days from now, we've got the second part of our Visionary Giver series, which is our Bible and Beyond series for this month. We're talking all about giving because we feel at TFC that often a lot of the churches that we grew up in, kind of like the one Melanie and we're talking about, have a pretty toxic relationship with giving and can guilt people and shame people into giving more than is healthy. And then on the flip side, you have more progressive churches like ours that are trying to reverse, if not undo, that damage, and often are not sure how to talk about giving, or for safety's sake, prefer just to avoid the topic altogether. And so TFC, we admit that giving is important. We depend on it, but it's also giving from a spiritual perspective too, not simply a financial. So we talk about all those components of giving and how we approach it at TFC. And by doing that, we're going to look at our giving affirmation on Saturday, the first line of it, and how we approach giving from a pretty, almost like a creedal, like it's a creed, we say. It's something we adhere to, and it speaks to this Greatest Commandment stuff that I've been talking about. So that is 4:00 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time on Saturday. That is April 17th, and that is on Zoom. So just check out any of our Facebook events for the link to that. And then on Sunday, we've got 2 events. At 11 a.m., we've got session 2 of TFC Day 1, DAI, or Authentic Inclusive, as Melanie so lovelily said earlier. And it is session 2 of our new members experience, and it's being hosted by Pastor Christian A. Smith, Pastress Pamela B. Smith, and Tony C. Smith, ABC. That's not their names. I'm just being stupid. And we're going to be continuing to talk about understanding our personal journeys. So even if you're not a new member, even if you're like Melanie and have been here for a long time, but want to hear about TFC in a more structured way, or you're like V and are pretty new to TFC, you are more than welcome to join. Be sure to register on Zoom beforehand so that you are able to participate. That is TFC Day 1, Session 2 on April, that'll be 18th at 11 a.m. And then later on Sunday, we've got our Faith and Film virtual watch party for April. We had one last week, but that was a special one. So we're still on the same schedule, third week. And we voted on the favorite movie. And surprisingly, Jojo Rabbit came in as a big underdog, but then defeated the Goliath of Sorry to Bother You. So we will not be bothered by that movie. We'll be watching Jojo Rabbit. And it will be streaming on HBO Max. If you don't have HBO Max, you can purchase the movie on Amazon Prime, but it's like $20. So I would suggest just hopping on someone's HBO Max subscription. So we've got that at 7:00 p.m. EDT on Sunday. And you can join us on our Facebook group to participate in the discussion and stream the movie on HBO Max, or if you want to purchase it on other platforms. So again, we've got Bible and Beyond on Saturday, TSC Day 1 Sunday morning, and Faith and Film on Sunday evening. And that's the top 3 for tonight.
Thank you. This was awesome. Awesome. Well, I would like to just thank you, V, again for welcome to the family. And
yes.
We enjoyed spending time this evening. I don't think we've had a talk
Thank you.
like this as adults ever. So I think it's really dope that we got a chance to connect, and I learned something about you and you learned something about me, and we learned and shared about TFC. So y'all didn't know I was a rapper. My name used to be Miss Lady back in the day, and that was my rap name. So So anyway, I'm telling too much of my business.
You in my business.
Yes. But we want to thank you all too for joining us. Thank you for your interaction. Thank you for being a part of this. We look forward to you joining us in all of our activities we have going on. And we just want to welcome you to the family as soon as you decide to come on in. You can just join by joining into our groups, or we can make it official, by going through a couple of more steps. But know that you're welcome. We pray that you share this message. There it is. Love that. Did you do? Yes, that's why you're here, Grayson. Come on here. Disruptive to 855-706-1228 to make sure you stay connected with everything we have going, because we have a lot going on, and we're taking the world by storm, being disruptive in every way as Jesus was. So I want to bid you guys good night. Have a good evening. And we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
All right.